Hello, and welcome to the Round 21 review. After the Brisbane Lions play with the Blues, 17 goals 12, 114 to 12 goals 9, 81, Sunday afternoon at the Gabba. Bitterly disappointing performance yesterday. That was a real letdown. Yesterday. That was so disappointing because at this point in the year, my hope was and is that whatever we've done from the early portion of the season was all leading up to the last few rounds and, hopefully a finals berth. And the idea in my head was that we would improve with the new system. And the idea that was given to us was that we would improve with the system. What it looks like in round 1 won't be what it looks like in round 11, and what it looks like in round 21 won't be what it looks like in round 11. So that was one of the most disappointing aspects of the entire affair. I can go deeper, and we will, but at the end of the day, we should be getting more comfortable and more better with whatever system it is that we're playing. And unfortunately, we're not. We weren't prepared to be better than what we were against a really good side in Brisbane. We knew that it would be a tough game. I knew it would be a tough game. Brisbane over there, it's a tough ask. I'm not surprised that we lost. What I am surprised with is the manner in which we showed up, knowing what was at stake. Now, this is the second week in a row with, one win away from sort of clinching a spot, more or less, and still an inability to find belief, find energy, find spark. How are we at this point with an inability to play with the desire and the intensity? Because it's just right there. What we want is right there in front of us, and that is the most disappointing part for me. I was very calm last week, and the reason why I was calm last week is because in any time of disappointment and crisis, you can't panic, especially when the season's not over yet. I was willing to say, you know what? You've got one of them a year. Every team has them. You look across the competition, every team in the competition, even the premiers, they all have that game, maybe two, where they're just completely disappointing and they're a complete, shell of what their best looks like. And I was hoping that that's what the Adelaide game was. It wasn't until midweek, I was talking to Paolo, I was talking to Pommy, I was talking to everyone, talking to all of you. I listened to the press conferences from Weeders and Harry, and it just seemed robotic. It just seemed really strange that they weren't talking on their own accord. Usually after a bad loss, we don't do as much media. I'm not sure what the scheduling is like, if there's contractual commitments as such, whatever. But the point I'm trying to make is the way we spoke didn't seem to fully address the severity. And that's okay, because on the one hand, you could say, we're not trying to get too emotional after a loss, and that's why I was waiting. Let's see what you do at the Gabba. Yes, I'm disappointed about the Crows game and the way you came out with the lack of fight and the lack of hunt and desire and all of that. But you know what? Show me what you're going to put on display against the Lions. And then, Harry's talking about, Vossi, we're running through a brick wall for him, and, it's going to be the game of the round. You should be tuning in to watch. And very strange upon reflection. And I can't help but wonder what is going on. There is something going on the inside, and it's, they're footy clubs, they're organisations made up of people, and people are flawed, and people have expectations, and people have egos, and when you're playing a team sport, you have to put it to the side. So there's a lot going on top of the fact that we're all going through life experiencing whatever it is. So there's a bit of disharmony, it seems, within the group. The same spark and connection and playing for each other and instinctively wanting to help each other out seems to be dropping at a point in the season where it needs to be at its absolute strongest. So that's tough. Now, the game starts, watching it from home. Brisbane were on top early. I thought the first 10 to 15 minutes we battled and we toughed it out. And I just sort of thought, all right, well, this is what we expect. Brisbane they're great at home. They're really good at home. They're direct with their ball movement. I thought we defensively set up pretty well. I was really excited to see the prospect of Marchbank and McGovern and Wiedering and Young in the same backline. That's something we have not seen before. Obviously great to see Caleb Marchbank playing his 50th and Sardi in there playing, his milestone game as well. And I think it was another one with Jack Nunes. But the point I was trying to make was about the excitement to see the defensive setup. And it looked like it was holding up. Unfortunately, every time we got the ball, it seemed, the way we kicked the ball, the execution by foot, just bad turnovers. And I made a note here that we were slowly unraveling, and then I think there was a poor kick. It might have been from Wiedering in the first 6 minutes to go, which resulted in a goal, and then dumb football. And then it just starts to unravel a little bit more. And I noticed some fumbles and some slips from our best players. Cripps had one. Doherty had a couple where he slipped over or he fumbled, or the kick went to the wrong person, or it was the handball went sort of behind the player that it needed to, and then Wiedering's turnover. And that was when the little alarm bell rang for me, because it's like these are the guys at the top who I need to be relying on. If they're showing weak knees there, wobbly knees there, then we're in for a long day. We were completely unassured when kicking. It's like we didn't know what to do. We resorted back to this down the line, long bomb up. It just David Teague football, it looks like. It looked like. Then the second quarter, it just became really clear that the Lions' pressure was too much for us. And, said it throughout the week. I was looking forward to it. They're tough, they're strong, they're thick, they're men. They've been, you can just tell, look at the bodies, the way they've developed. They just put this size on, and we just looked, layers shorter. It's not like we were just too small for them. We were way too small for them in our body size, and we just weren't anywhere near as tough enough for them. Now, granted, I understand, you lose Hewitt and Kennedy in our midfield mix. They're probably the two that I look at that can really handle the strength, but you've got to be able to come in. There are guys that came into this team, into that midfield mix who, we're talking about guys that are 4, 5, 6 years into the system. If you haven't put on, I don't know, maybe it's unfair. How many years do you need in the system to be strong enough to compete with the big bodies in the league? I don't know the answer. Maybe it's a little unfair to say, but we're not tough enough and not strong enough. And then, it became really clear. We should have been 10 goals down at halfway through the second quarter, or even more. Brisbane let us off. We could not get any momentum in our game. And, then we kicked a couple in a row. I think it was Cripps and then Nunes. And you're thinking, what is this? Who knows? Quarter 3, I took 3 notes in quarter 3, then gave up. We were lazy with our disposal. We had no conviction. And then, you're done when you're writing fuck off. And that was it. I was done. I was sitting there in the couch, just slouching more and more into it, watching them just unravel again. And it was like a train wreck. It was so bad. It was so fucking bad. And we just couldn't get anything going. Nothing. And then the fourth quarter starts and we kick 7 in a row or 8 in a row, or 8 for the quarter. I don't know what it was. And it's so weird because in the moment, it actually made me more angry at them, which is fascinating. Because, you want them to fight it out. They have to fight it out. You can't lose precious percentage points at this point of the year and all of that. But it just made me so angry. I was so mad at them in what I saw in the fourth. Like, I know it was important for them to show it, but it just made me so mad because it's like, where the fuck was this? And why do we only see this when the pressure of the game drops a little bit? And I'm struggling to find the balance between understanding that there is a process to all of this. So we are currently in the middle of the process to hopefully winning a premiership. And I understand that this year was about starting to win consistently. We need to quickly, and maybe this is not something that will come quickly, but we need to get a lot better at dealing with the pressure. Forget about pressure from fans and media. Like that's one layer. I'm talking about hot finals, contested football, real on-field pressure. There is a real inability mentally at the moment with this group. And I don't know, on the fan cams last night, there was discussions about, is it complacency? I don't know. Do they feel like the season is already a success and no matter what happens from here, it's going to be a success because we've won 12 games and most expected us and hope for 11 or whatever? I don't know. I don't know what the internal dialogue is. I am very curious about the disharmony that seems from the outside to be there. There's just something not right. I'm not blaming it on one particular moment. I know there was a bit of discussion around Jack Silvani being dropped last week and all of that, but yeah, I don't get the same conviction from the group. I don't get the same conviction from Vossi. Maybe they're just looking at it as a long-term project and whatever the case may be, and they're just trying to not panic. And you know, that's just the reality of where the group is at, and it's a hard one to swallow because you start the season so well. And I know that for most, if not all of us, have put this game against the Lions and next week against the D's as a loss. I think everyone's predictors at the start of the year had these games as losses. So let's not pretend like it's a shock that we lost the game. It's just the manner in which we lost. I'm happy to lose to the Lions at the Gabba if, you know, down by a goal or down by 2 goals, but we've really made them, you know, pull one out of the hat and really tested them. But we haven't been able to do that. And that is what's disappointing. And I'm not blaming any of the inexperienced guys there. I'm not blaming any of the guys that have just come into the side from the VFL. None of that. Nah, I thought this game was squarely on the leaders. Wiedering, Harry, Charlie, Cripps, Doc, Walsh, these guys, the senior guys. That's purely and squarely on them. It has to come from them. They have to drive it. They have to be the ones that deal with the pressure better than everyone else. Because if they're unsettled, what else do you think is going to happen to the rest? So that's where I put the responsibility, and that's where I hope they put the responsibility. I just have questions, you know. What is happening with the harmony of the group? What has happened with the connection that we were seeing at the early parts of the year with this group? What has happened to the leaders? Why do we constantly seemingly falter under really intense pressure from the opposition? Why are we not able to stick with what we do and how we do it? And how do we rectify it? You know, there's 2 games left. We are still very much in control. That's the beauty of this all. We're still in control of our destiny because of what we've done early in the season with the wins that we were able to bank. And that's why you need to bank wins, because you get to this point in the year or a point in the season where the draw is really tough and you get rewarded for the wins that you had early in the season. However, they're not going to be enough to get us into the 8 if we lose all of the remaining games from here. Now, we can only go until next week. We've got to focus on the Ds and get the job done, but there is something that needs to be rectified here. That's very clear. No, don't need to be an expert, don't need to be a genius, you know, and right now it's all speculation. But yeah, that hunt and that will to want to be physically demanding in the contest needs to return pretty quickly. You know, if anything, Brisbane played the powerful brand of football that we were told we're going to play, if anything. And they really showed us how far behind we are. So I don't really know what to take of the margin in the end. At the end of the day, we were completely dismantled. And I think my biggest concern with the group is, what are they motivated by? What are they actually motivated by? And do they still have belief that they can do something this year? And how much has the last 2 games dented, if at all, the belief within the group? That's something I'm probably not mindful of anymore. I'm worried about it now. So, yeah, bitterly disappointing. They just let themselves down. They let everyone down. That's the truth. They let everyone down. You know, we've ridden this roller coaster all season. Yes, it's been a lot more enjoyable. It's been one of the most enjoyable seasons that I've ever experienced, which probably goes to show a lot for what I've experienced. But I mean, are they really going to get this close to, you know, tasting the finals and let it go? Is that really what's happening? I don't want to project too much because the outcome hasn't happened yet, and we still have a lot that can happen, but we need to sort it out quickly. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. What about you? A loss is a very fascinating experience. A bad loss is a very fascinating experience for us. You just get caught into, everyone's emotional and we're bickering with each other and picking on each other. And it's quite fascinating. It's quite beautiful that humans, we care so much about something that is so out of our control, but we do it anyway. And that's what makes the club so special, because you have a lot of people who care a lot, who care deeply. And it all comes from a place of caring about the club. I think that's the important takeaway. But yeah, share with us your thoughts on the game. Share your thoughts on where you think we are. I think there's probably one of two ways to look at it. Do you feel like the season's done and we're just riding it out now and it's finished? Or do you still have hope that they're capable of, doing something and winning one, if not both of the next two games, and actually, following through with what we were able to show at the start of the season? We'll chat about it in the comments. Stay tuned for the player ratings. They're not going to take long at all, and we'll go from there.